Hi team, Greg again. Today we're going to look at my favourite outer thigh or outer hip or bum or glute stretches. It's a tricky area and a lot of bits we can't stretch as well as we'd like, just due to the mechanics of how your hips work. But we'll start with the classic. The all-time classic is this one. This is called a figure 4 stretch. You lie on your back, you bend your knees, you cross one ankle over the other knee, and you reach through and grab, and I like the front of the shin here. I can interlock my fingers, it feels nice and comfy. Some people prefer to hold behind the knee. Okay, whichever works for you is fine. And the head is down, and you pull the leg towards you. So in this case, I'm pulling my left leg towards me, so the stretch is in the outside of this. Now, a lot of people find that they're real tight here. So as they do this, their head's up in the air, and it's a lot of effort to do, okay? In which case, you put this block behind your head, so your head rests down, it's more comfy, and you can focus on where we want the stretch to be, which is in the outside of our hip or glute. Now, if I swap sides, you can see what this foot is doing here. The foot could be floppy, or if you have any knee pressure here, what works often with the knee pressure is to pull this foot up, and then imagine you're pulling the pinky toe side of the foot to the outside of the knee. So imagine your foot's kind of rotating that way, you're going to pull it that way. That tightens up the muscles on the outside of the lower leg, and that appears to have a bit of a stabilizing effect on the knee, and it's less intense on the knee joint. So it's up to you which feels more comfy. The other thing you can do here is use your elbows. So in this case, I can use my left elbow just to push my knee a little bit, and I can roll a little bit to this side or a little bit the other way, and just play until I find the best angle where I get the best stretch for the knee, okay? For the hip, sorry. What I meant to say was make sure you're not putting too much pressure on the knee. We don't want to twist the knee joint. Joints don't like being twisted. So it'd be nice to your knees, not wreck your knees just to stretch your hips, which I did when I was doing a lot of yoga back in the day, thinking that going to lotus would be the answer to the world's problems. And it wasn't. So, now, the variation from that, similar to the other video we did on the inner thigh, is to do this against the wall. The benefit of this is, again, it's much more passive. Not quite so close to the wall this time. We spin ourselves up, legs up the wall. This time you take one leg and you cross it over above the knee joint. This might be a bit of a stretch already. If not, you slide the other leg down. Notice when I slide that leg down, it pushes the knee towards me. It saves me having to pull on the knee. See how that works? It's kind of cool. And as it comes down, I feel more stretch here. So I can stop somewhere where I think, oh, that's enough. And again, I can read my book. I can talk to the cat. I can get my phone out. I can breathe and chill and meditate. I can also, because the hands are free now, I can pull this foot up, I can play with this ankle position, I can push on this knee a little bit. If I want to, that's helpful. I can adjust, I can wriggle, and as things loosen, the foot comes further down. The further down it comes, the more pressure comes this way, and the better the stretch on the hip. When you want to come out, you can sometimes get a bit stuck here. You lift your hips up like a wee little bridge. This leg is then easy to take out, and you swap. Same on the other side. I start here, I slide down. At a certain point, I'm like, ooh, that's enough. Remember, for these sort of release stretches, you want a mild stretch. Almost no stretch at all, which is a little kind of crazy, slightly zen. It's almost like nothing. It's just below the stretch. Rather than sitting here gritting your teeth and forcing it, which tends to make the muscles resist you, you're going for a mellow stretch and you wait. It's just time. Breathing, reading. You might be tempted to pick your toenails, but maybe don't. And you'll find things soften. Things will take minimum 20 seconds, remember. In almost all cases, you can stay here for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you need, making sure the knee joint is happy, pressures in the hips. To come out again, we lift up, extend the legs up, and we can slowly roll out of that position. Now, that's 1 and 2. Stretch number 3, it's called a double pigeon in the yoga world. What you do is you bend one leg and you tuck it. So in this case, if I was to mirror teach, imagine this is my right leg, this is my left leg. Bend that right leg and put the ankle underneath the other knee, underneath the left knee here. I'm going to bend the left leg and line that up so that ankle is in front of the right knee. Again, what I said about the feet before, you pull the feet up. It really does make a difference in the stability of your knee. And then you bend forwards. Okay? The plan eventually is to get your forearms on the floor and your head on the floor and your chest line on top of your shins. So, often though, you'll get to about here and you go, oh, yeah. If that's the case, you can use a block like we did with the inner thigh one. You can do this. Once again, that may be enough. A lot of people, that's too far. You can rest this on your shins if you like. It adds a little bit of a support. Might be a little uncomfy. A lot of us will be miles away, in which case stick with the figure 4 for a while or the wall stretch until things are a bit looser. Remember, do not force your knees. That's what I did. Now, if that's enough, over time you bend forward. This next one, this is kind of like 3B, is for the really bendy people. And you'll notice that I'm not as bendy as you might think I am. So, and often this is taught this way, and I think it's kind of crazy to start this way because it's way too intense. This, I find, is doable for a lot of us, and it's a bit of time to come forward. The full version is to put this foot in front, on top of the knee. Now, if I put just the foot on the knee, notice the ankle bends. That's okay. But officially, you want to put your ankle bone past the knee. See that? Sometimes they call this a log stretch, like two logs on a fire. And what's meant to happen is that these are above each other and you bend forward. I do get some bendy people in the class who can do that, but not me. You notice I'm up here going, rather uncomfortable. Even if I do this, I'm like, and that stresses my knee a bit more. So it's an option. So you imagine that and you bend forward. For me, this is doable. This is enough for most of us. And again, when you come up, you will swap sides by bringing the back leg through. So this cuts that right leg, bring it through, and bend forward. Okay? Into blocks or no blocks. Ta-da. Now, stretch number 4, I got this from Tom Merrick. So I will put the link in somehow in the description. I think I can work out how to do that, hopefully. Tom does a whole ton of, I think he's called Bodyweight Warrior, I think he calls himself. Tons of interesting stretch videos, follow-along videos and so on, so I do recommend checking out his stuff, as well as Ben from the Knees Over Toes guy. What you do here is you lift your legs up, bend your knees. Again, we'll do it on this side. I will take my right foot, so imagine I'm a mirror, okay? It's my right leg, my left leg. I'm going to bring this leg in, I'm going to tuck it underneath this left kind of glute, upper thigh area. Then you step the left foot over the top. So you're in this position here, okay? It's a slightly advanced position. Some people find this a bit tricky. I always lift up to readjust to make sure I feel comfortable here. Classically in the yoga world, we do a lot of twisting here, okay? This is the way you'd start from. But for this, we're going to do a funny little sort of side-on forward bend. So what you do, in this case, you take my right arm, and I'm going to bring it around. So you kind of wrap yourself around, and I hold on to the top of my knee, and let my elbow drop down towards my left ankle. And then I just drape the left arm over the top. I hug myself towards my knee, or my knee towards me. And I'm going to drop this right shoulder here down towards this left ankle. So I'm just going straight forward. It's a kind of side-on drop. I'm kind of doing that. And then you hang out. Tom reckons this is his favorite stretch, I think, overall, and particularly for the hip joint. I'm not sure it's my favorite. It's a little uncomfy, but in a good way. It's in the hip, so just breathe and hang. And as things loosen, you can get closer to your shin, and your shoulder gets closer to the foot. So if I swap sides for you on that one. It took me a while to work this out. I kept getting the arms wrong and dropping myself the wrong way. Once we get it, to start with, you're like, not so sure, and then gradually you settle in. And then we come back up. So Those are our main stretches for the outside of your hip. What I always like to do at the end of doing all of those is to come into a squat. A squat should, in theory, be possible for all humans to do. On your feet, I would suggest at least hip width, maybe slightly wider. And again, I would turn the feet out a little bit. Some people want you to be straight. I think for now, that's fine. About 45 out is all good. And you just wriggle yourself forward so you're in a squat position. So it's not technically a full-on just a hip stretch, it's more of a low back stretch. You do require flexibility in your lower legs and your ankles, which we'll look at another day. What we do here is put our hands in the prayer position. Not because we're going to pray or chant, okay, don't panic. What we're going to do is just use the hands like this to push the elbows push against the inside of the knee, otherwise the knees tend to drop in, which isn't great. And we sit here. Theoretically, all humans should be able to do this, even if we think we can't, because it's how we're designed. If we were living in the jungle, we would do a lot of things this way. And we would chill, okay? And when you're finished with this one, you simply stand up and carry on with your day. Thanks, Greg. Any questions, do put them in the comments section or message me. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video and we'll think of something else fun to do.